Hi folks, this is all the fruit. I'm in the harbor area of Mannheim in Germany, and here there is a small patch of little gardens. Well, those small patches of little gardens are very typical in Germany. Often when they are like this, grouped together somewhere in the city, they are workers' gardens when workers live in big flats in big blocks of flats. They used to organize for themselves such plots of land where they could have their own little garden. However, whenever I pass this little patch of gardens, I notice every time that those are no German gardens. And yeah, nowadays the workers who use the cheap housing here directly in the harbor area are usually foreigners and not Germans. And you can tell that immediately by the gardens, because like half of all the trees are figs. A German person would usually plant maybe one fig tree in his garden, but those people, they usually have several per garden, and there are very few apple and cherry trees. I mean, in a German garden, like half of the trees would be apples, more than half. Yeah, half of the trees would be apples and cherries, and the other half would be the other fruit trees and ornamental trees. But let's see what we have here. Well, over there, a little bit hidden behind this tree house, the first fig tree, then a mulberry tree, some grapes covering the fences, then another mulberry tree, a third mulberry tree, okay, then a maple which almost looks like a mulberry, but it's a maple, then a sour cherry tree, then again a fig tree, then the next fig tree, and behind it already the next fig tree. Also, the grapes here, at least the ones on the left, are quite untypical for Germany. The ones on the right, small blue berries, yeah, not so unusual, but the ones on the left, look at it. Well, here in the shade they are quite unripe, but elongated greenish berries. When they get ripe, they get pale green. Pretty untypical. This is more typical for Southern European grape varieties. Yeah, here is a sour cherry tree. Well, you find this in Southern Europe, in Turkey and in Germany. Hazelnut bush. Yeah, this is also very typical of Turkey, but also typical of pretty much everywhere else in Europe. Well, here we have a nice fig tree. Look, fig tree, fig tree, fig tree. Every second tree around here is a fig tree. Let's see what else we have. A small sour cherry. Here again those elongated grapes, very untypical for Germany. Yeah, here some sweet cherries. Again some grapes. Yeah, also grapes and pumpkins growing above a footpath like this. That's very typical for Mediterranean and Oriental gardens with their hot scorching sun. I mean, those leaves don't protect you a lot from rain, but they protect you a lot from the sun. Well, beans, apricot trees. There is also a lot of apricot trees here. 1, 2. I saw 3 over there. I saw a fourth one. Also a little bit untypical for Germany. Here a small olive tree. Also not so typical for Germany. Quince trees are also quite common. Okay, quince is also common in Germany. This seems to be a pear quince, and this an apple quince. Over there, to the right of the cypress, there is, behind the last shed, there is a huge apricot tree, a fig tree, and a cherry tree. Here's something that looks like a cherry plum. Here a kaki or Sharon. Over there a laurel cherry. Well, in the Caucasus there are cultivars, edible cultivars of the laurel cherry, but I guess this will be some German ornamental cultivar. Here finally one apple tree and one normal plum tree, and in the middle, I don't know what this is, maybe another plum tree. So there are apple and plum trees here, but not so many. So basically, yeah, here a rosemary, which is almost a tree. So basically the tree selection here is much more typical for some Mediterranean gardens. And since most of those low-paid hard workers in the harbor areas who work, and especially who live in the harbor areas, are from places like Turkey and Italy and Spain and Greece, you find that reflected in the fruit tree selection here. Well, it's a very small patch of gardens. Over there on the next street there is another patch of such interesting gardens. Peppers, so many peppers. This is also not so typical for a German garden to have tons and tons of peppers. Yeah, so what did I want to say? Well, quite a small patch of gardens, but the gardens are almost uniform. Like this, they seem to be gardens of people from the same culture, but definitely not from a German culture. When you look at the number of fig and mulberry trees, there is another mulberry and a peach tree, and also the grape varieties or the way they grow the grapes. It's all quite untypical for Germany. So yeah, quite nice, a small piece of the Mediterranean here in the city port of Mannheim. I'm always glad when I can enjoy this. Stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos from the beautiful city of Mannheim, and don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.